Ace Bailey is doing something different. And stunningly, it involves passing. Next on Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked on the #1 sports podcast network. Greatly appreciate that. Today's show, we got a fun one coming up for you. We're going to wrap it up with Will's Wednesdays, some interesting comments about Ace Bailey's defense and Amin Thompson's defense as well. So we'll look at that. If we get to it, I got interesting comments about a rookie haze things. And we're going to look deeply at Ace Bailey's passing. One of the things I think has changed here in Ace Bailey that we're going to look at together is it looked to me that he was playing almost exclusively from like 10 to 25 feet, and now all of a sudden is making plays inside 10 feet, which is a pretty dramatic thing, and they're passing plays, which is counter to absolutely everything everyone told us about Ace Bailey before he got here, which makes this even more fun. Today's show is brought to you in part by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Jazz off today. Brooklyn Nets tomorrow. New York Knicks the next day. So this should be fun to watch. All right, we're going to watch a bunch of video today, which is a risk on my part because I'm never good at this. But I think with the road set up, it's going to work. Okay, that's so optimistic, but let's hope that it does. All right, I want to start with the Rockets game. We're going to watch a collection of assists by Ace Bailey over the last 5 games. And if you're on audio, I'll make it work, I promise. The thing that I think gets interesting here in regards to this with Ace Bailey and the assists is you're going to see that some of them are absolutely rudimentary.
For the hustle.
Some of them are absolutely rudimentary in what they do. And some of them, on the other side, are really neat developmental things. But I actually think both of them are important. And this is a little misleading, frankly, because we're only watching assists, not just passes. So obviously every single one of these will look like Ace Bailey is sharing all the time. But the essence of this is the word on him coming in was that he didn't pass, that he was a ball hog, that he took terrible shots, and that he didn't understand the game. These will portray a completely different picture. And that's the thesis statement here. The first and again, we're just looking at assists, so we're not like going through the film and finding every time he missed a guy or there was someone open he didn't get to or something like that, which would probably be a more accurate way to do this. We're looking at the positives. The second thing I think you're going to see as we run through these 5 days worth of assists, are you going to see decision making? Now, I will say this, and I don't know, hey, I've never coached this. He's being the Jazz are doing a very good job of putting him in the right position. One thing I've been told over the years is if you're coming from the top, you have to make multiple reads. If you're coming from the wing, you have to make one read. And you'll see multiple times here where he just has to make one read. He's not making passes that are what I would call once removed. In other words, there's the obvious next pass. This guy can't even make it. And the next rotation comes and I throw over the top to the next removed guy. I haven't seen that pass yet. That's pretty high level. I'm not expecting him to be Magic Johnson. But the fact that he's willing to move the basketball like this does tell me that I think when you suddenly start giving Ace Bailey the ball more and more and more, he's going to be a 5 or 6 assist guy a game. So let's watch this first one. Some of these are just pretty, as I said, are rudimentary. But we watch this first one. This is against Houston. He's trailing, comes full steam in the open floor, gets the ball in a fast break circumstance. And this is a very basic read. We're in a fast break. He's catching at the top of the key. Nurkic is down on the right side. He's got an edge on Thompson, so he's going to go in the lane. And Şengün's going to just come over to cut him off. And Ace just very creatively kind of drops the pass two-handed underneath to Nurkic. But, this is an instinct play where the guy cut in front of you and you didn't go over him to try to dunk on him. You didn't try to take the charge. You didn't, and it's pretty interesting. This decision is made at 7 feet, and he hands it off to Nurk for an easy layup. Again, that's not world-class stuff. It's the first play of the game or first bucket. It's pretty interesting. Here's the next one. Again, this seems really rudimentary, but Keyonte George has it. The Jazz have the Rockets rotating. This is the opening part of the third quarter. And the setup is that Lauri's in the left corner, Ace is high left, and Keyonte has the ball all on the right side. And Keyonte swings it to Ace, and he is wide open and can take that shot. And he doesn't, and rotates the next pass to the corner to Lauri Markkanen for 3. I might argue this is the most important play we're going to look at the whole time. Because if you want to be a rookie and get along and have your teammates decide that you're all right, this is the play that you have to make. And his recognition that Lauri Markkanen is our best player.
A little bit for the hustle.
And that I'm going to make this play to get to Lauri Markkanen is really important to the Jazz and who they are as a team. And also to this question of who is Ace Bailey and what's his makeup. And that, to me, is one of the most important things. All right, this last one we're going to watch, it's a one-read play, but, again, the decision is made at about 7-8 feet away from the basket, where I think he's making more decisions than he has in the past.
For the hustle, Durant was aware of the rookie. Nice.
Sorry about that. I keep having to go back because the NBA site, as we've often talked about, is not one of the greatest of all time. And so it has a tendency to just shut down.
I mean, that's amazing. What a career.
So let's look at this one for a second. This one's pretty basic. But it's, again, we're not at the willingness to pass and the fact that he makes these plays. Okay. Pinned down, Ace is in the left corner, pinned down with Lauri Markkanen. Nurkic finds him. The first pass is not available to Lauri. Ace decides to drive baseline. Nurkic comes down. We're just playing back, gets it back. Now we're just playing basketball. It's a handoff. It's basically a low pick and roll. This play tells me two things. The Jazz coaching staff are putting him in a position to succeed. This is a very simple, basic read on the wing. He doesn't have to make multiple reads. Credit to the coaching staff to put him in positions to make success. Nurkic hands it off to him, but this also tells you he'll be able to play pick and roll because this is basically a pick and roll. And Şengün comes up to the point of the screen. Smith does not switch, so he's double teamed, and Ace Bailey off the dribble throws a pocket bounce pass to Yusuf Nurkic for a layup. That's a pretty nifty play right there. Because he had to read that Şengün was not dropping, was playing at the level of the screen, and he had to read that Smith was still on him and didn't go to Nurkic, and he makes a play. And if the next play, when he really develops and becomes everything he's going to be, is going to be that he then takes that next, when Şengün drops or Smith switches, that he actually then takes a pull-up jump shot out of that. I don't want to underplay this. I don't want to make this suddenly seem like these are all so, these are interesting plays and passes that this kid is making for, again, someone who was literally not supposed to be able to make any of these plays, right? That was the book that we had on him when we got him, is that he wasn't going to make any of these plays. It's just not true. All right, here's Houston game the night before. This one's, again, he pops out. He drives the gap. This is fabulous. This one's a little more complicated because there's two choices, but it's angle right. They're in a zone, I think. Lauri's in the right corner. He gets the edge on Aaron Holiday. A quick decision there by Ace Bailey's the best part of this. He drives the gap. He coming over is Clint Capella to him. Smith's on. He's got to make what he could either go to Lauri in the corner. He gives it off to Nurkic for the little push shot in the lane. It's a really nice read. Again, it's a read at 5 feet. It's a really nice play there by Ace Bailey to make the play at 5 feet. And we're just seeing him make more and more of these type of decisions. So let's go to the Sacramento game with our beautiful purple court. Keyonte drives, gives it inside to Nurk. Nurk rotates out to Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey touch passes to Svi Mikhailuk for a drive and maybe a generous assist there. But the beauty of this play is Ace, the Jazz want him to play in 0.5. That is a radical different change for Ace Bailey to play in 0.5 seconds. He never had to play in 0.5. He got the ball. He gets to decide what he wants to do every time as a young player because he's the best player on the floor. And on this play, Keyonte drives, Nurkic rotates. Ace Bailey not only plays in 0.5, he plays in 0.1. He has decided before he gets this basketball that he is going to touch pass it. It literally never comes into his grip. He touch passes it in and out of his hands immediately to Mikhailuk, who drives the lane. This goes back to the play before with Lauri. This is a willing passing teammate that players are going to want to play with. He very easily could have taken this as a 3. Zach LaVine's closing with not a lot of space. He could have easily pump faked and driven the baseline to be selfish. There may be a day where he wanted him to do these things, but Ace Bailey literally touches it in one motion and never comes down with it. To Svi Mikhailuk. That's kind of cool. More of this. I got a few more things to look at. This is pretty exciting, and this is totally different than what we were told we were going to get with Utah Jazz. Today's show is brought to you by my good friends over at Intercap, Brock Worthen, their president, Steve Carter, our own personal loan officer. Intercap Lending is a mortgage company that's shaking things up by making home loans accessible, straightforward, and personal. Whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, exploring options as a veteran, Intercap is there to guide you. It is not your average mortgage lender. They have been with us for over 7 or 8 years now. They are people first, and we have our own dedicated loan officer in Steve Carter. That's incredible. He's the greatest customer service person in the world. So you're a real person. You are from Locked On. You get the VIP treatment, and Steve Carter takes care of you. And the reviews that we get from all the time, whether it's from Katie Pennington, I work with Steve on 3 loans now. He gets the loan together quickly and is great to work with. Whether it's from Carlos, Steve Carter is always the best, always on top of it, gets back to you after hours if needed. One of the best companies and people I have ever dealt with in many years. Thank you for the great experience. Whether it's from Tim, highly recommend. Steve was phenomenal, very thorough. He made my experience very easy from the beginning to the end. Wonderful people at Intercap, and that's why Intercap has been with Locked On this entire time, and that is why Steve Carter is our own personal loan officer. Email me at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that we can get you your own VIP treatment that you deserve by being a Locked On everyday. Today's show is also brought to you by Robinhood and the Robinhood Gold Standard. That's right. Here's what if sports were traded like markets. Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood's prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in a moment that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes games. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. You always know the game, but you never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now you can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just spectator play-by-play. You decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Thank you so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps. And thank you for making Locked On your number one Sports Podcast Network. I want more Ace Bailey, baby. I want more Ace Bailey. So let's do more Ace Bailey. You're going to see this reoccurring theme continue here with Ace Bailey. So there was the Sacramento. The last one we watched was the single against Sacramento. He actually had 2 assists in that game. And the second one is not as exciting, but just since I said we were
stepping up.
Since I said we were going to look at all of them, we will. And here's this last one. Ace Bailey comes off a pin down from Lauri, catches it on the far side of the floor, doesn't turn the corner, instead dribbles, gets himself in a little trouble. And then this is maybe the most impressive pass he makes of all of these, because this is the one time I would say he's one removed. Zach LaVine comes over the baseline, and Ace Bailey from the right block at about 5 feet away skips it over the top to Luke, who hits the 3. So Ace Bailey comes off a pin down on the right side. In this case, he doesn't quite make the 0.5 decision. He thinks he's coming back off a pick from Lauri. He's in a little bit of trouble. He splits 2 defenders. A third one comes to him. He jumps in the air, and he throws the pass across the court to Luke. What jumps out to me about this play, one is that's a long pass. It's not an obvious. 2, he's clearly not thinking shot first. Like, he drives the lane. He's in the air 5 feet outside the basket. He very easily could force a shot here. He's not thinking pass first. Again, this is so contrary to everything that we were told the Utah Jazz were going to get from this kid. It's just not what he is so dramatically different as a instinctual basketball player. And he was asked after postgame the other night on how he's making these decisions and doing these things. And he just says, well, it's just instinct. God gave me talent. Okay, if that's the case, then his instinct is to play with his teammates. And that is certainly not what I think a lot of people thought we were getting. Here's against Golden State, and then we'll watch the final ones after this one. Here he is. Again, just a quick push pass to Keyonte, and Keyonte makes a play. This is not, that one's probably the most he kind of had to. He had to get off the ball. Let's just move past it to the next one, which is, this one's pretty interesting. Ace is in the right corner. Keyonte and Nurkic are going to play pick and roll at the top. The ball is going to come to Bailey. He's going to drive the baseline, and you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see Ace Bailey instinctually make a pass rather than taking a shot when he could have. Again, we're only watching the assists. We're not watching every play. I'm sure there's plenty of plays where he's forced. He's not perfect. But here's the pick and roll. It's a pick. Keyonte bullets the pass to Ace Bailey instead of pick and roll with Nurk, and Nurk makes himself available very nicely. This is where Nurk's much better than people give him credit. And Ace blows by Moody. The last defender's Quentin Post. Frankly, Ace could probably fly over the top of him, and at some point probably should to draw a foul because he does not play with a lot of contact. We could probably debate for a while on this one whether eventually Ace should be the one thinking a little bit more aggressively to make the play. He beats Moody on a beautiful pump fake. He's driving, but it's a simple underhand scoop to Nurk, who's the open man because Jimmy Butler's late rotating, and Nurk just pushes up a 3-foot push shot. So we could probably discuss at some point we would like Ace Bailey to be more aggressive and go make that play. But on the other end, that is, again, that's the right play. And when Ace Bailey has his day, he's going to get plenty of opportunities on these. All right, let's watch the final 3 of the last 5 games against the Lakers when he, again, here is, this one's Collier drives, and Ace has it on the wing, and he drives the baseline. 2 guys come to him. And this one's pretty creative. He bounces the pass between Jake LaRavia and DeAndre Ayton into Nurk in the pocket. LeBron was late defensively. It's there. Ace really had nothing going there. So that's a pretty good read by Ace as the spacing's terrible. All 5 Lakers are in the paint. This play is busted. There's 7 on the shot clock. There's nothing good happening here. And because DeAndre Ayton doesn't close tight enough, Ace with a really good bounce pass inside to Nurkic. And again, that decision being made at about 8 feet. He was not playing in this range before. Okay. Open floor, third quarter, late, kind of a 2-for-1 opportunity. Bailey's working one-on-one on LaRavia, drives the left hand in the air. Help defense comes over from I'm not sure whom, because I can't see who that is. Filipowski, open, ace in the air, jump pass back to Filipowski, and frankly, Filipowski, this is a really good play by Ace because, that's Maxi Kleba. Because I'm not sure that I think Filipowski made himself particularly available here, and Ace does a pretty good driving left hand. Again, very easily could be forcing up a shot here. Two defenders come to him. His instinct as he looks back to see where guys are, flip is available at this point, and Ace is able to stay on it long enough to make a play. I'll give Flip a little bit more credit as I watched that second time. He came in to make available. That's a great read. All right, final one, fast break, open court. Ace Bailey has it. Very simple. But again, LeBron's backpedaling. Reeves is there, 2-on-2. He has the edge. This shows the instinct to get up off the basketball, and he finds the best player on the team. Lauri Markkanen, in a circumstance we were down 4 with 40 seconds left and we needed a 3. I don't know if Ace Bailey did that because of time and score. There's some other moments where we've seen him not know time and score, but the overall thesis of those five games worth of assists, decisions being made at 5 to 6 to 7 feet, a willingness to pass. Those are all opportunities, almost all of them where he could have shot as well, probably would have missed. It's why his shooting percentage is what it is. And just an overall, if we're just going to go that this kid is playing on instinct still right now, an overall instinct to pass the basketball and involve your teammates. Pretty awesome to see. All right, we continue. It's a Will's Wednesday. We'll try to get some of that for you coming up here. I've got 2 cuts coming up from Will Hardy, one on Ace Bailey's next step defensively, which I thought was really interesting. And then what makes a great on-ball defender about talking about Amin Thompson of the Rockets, probably the best on-ball defender in the entire NBA. Today's show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is the official ticketing app of Locked On and is there for you to make sure that you can get into all the great events. Right now, download the Game Time app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. So with 48 teams, it's the first time ever. It's going to be massive. These tickets are going to be hard to probably to be a part of it. So that's why Game Time is here for you to give you the advantage in the clutch, getting your tickets, finally give fans the real advantage you need. So with Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, buy tickets in the moment, and then hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to World Cup games more realistic instead of completely impossible. Pick a game, tap a section, have the tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting. Prices include upfront fee, so there's no last-second checkouts, and the seat view feature is a game finder. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets, World Cup tickets for every match or a concert or events. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go. Game Time. All right, every Wednesday we do Will's Wednesday on the program. So let's do a little Will's Wednesday. This is from the pregame show prior to the Rockets game that we had the other night. The first Rockets game is this one. Will was wearing Will was wearing a new hat and a new jacket, so a little bit of a different look. I'm hoping the audio comes through here. This is my hope. I can hear it when it's going, so I think it's going to work. I actually think it works better when I'm on the road than I'm at home, is my hope. But here is Will talking about the next step for Ace Bailey defensively. And if I unmute the microphone, then that would probably help. Hey, old guy technical stuff.
Has the ability to cover a lot of ground. In particular, in the last couple of weeks, there have been a few closeouts where he's going from a foot in the paint to the three-point line in what seems like a step and a half. His understanding of our scheme continues to grow. The individual piece for Ace right now is walking the line of providing great resistance and competing on the ball and being physical without fouling. I think right now we have some possessions where it's one or the other. It's either like my hands are totally back and I'm taking contact to the chest and I'm kind of getting pushed around a little bit, or I have my hands in, and those are the ones where he gets called for a foul. So we need to continue to work with him to find a little bit of that middle ground, but his effort, his communication, his ability to cover ground, I think is continuing to improve. Like, I'm very optimistic about Ace's ability to impact the game defensively.
So I think that's working. I'm seeing a little bit of a reading, but I'm not seeing as big a reading as I want, and I can hear it. So I would think it's working, but I'm a little tentative because these Will Hardy ones have never worked as well as I want them to. The big takeaway there was that I thought was interesting. So we saw the game in which Ace Bailey gets 6 fouls in 10 minutes, and they're all with his hands out, and he's touching, he's doing this, and now we have him playing with his hands back. You literally see him defending, and then he's getting kind of bogarted and overrun. And so there's a set middle ground we're trying to play with here to get Ace to figure out. So really, I thought it was a really interesting look kind of in at what the development of a player has to be in this process to try to get good enough, and how you're just teaching Ace every second of every minute. In the end, in college, he's just so good and long defensively. There was just no problem. He just got all of it done. And now all of a sudden he has to learn all these different aspects of it. And, I will watch it against Brooklyn and New York. Is he reaching? Is her hands back? Is he putting up any resistance on the ball to see that? His length does do marvelous things, and he plays so hard. All right, I thought this was really fascinating. Ben Anderson of KSL Sports Zone and KSL.com asked about Amin Thompson and what you have to do about him defensively. I thought this was fascinating for 2 reasons. One, Will's going to talk about the wasted dribble and that how he's like just a vulture on wasted dribble. And the second thing is the last part that Will talks about is that maybe the fine line here, and these things all seem to be so subtle, is that even when this happens, then how do you make sure you don't just get so fearful of him, of what's going on, that you don't know, that you don't just stymie your entire game plan. So here is Will Hardy on that. Again, I am checking. The audio reading looks a little low,
like
so that makes me nervous.
They prey on the wasted dribble, the nothing dribble, the dribble where you're just putting it between your legs for no reason. You have to be really tight and efficient. You have to play in straight lines with a lot of force. You don't want to play in a small space against him. Like, you want to try to use as much of the court as you can. But I think Amin Thompson is in the upper echelon of individual perimeter defenders in our league. And guys like him who force a lot of turnovers one-on-one on the ball, I feel like when I watch, they prey on the wasted dribble. You need to be very purposeful with the ball when he's guarding you. It's not a time to casually change hands with the ball. You have to use your off arm and your body to protect the ball. And you also have to have enough humility to know when to get off it. That being said, you also don't want to turn the game into there's so much fear that you never drive it when he's guarding you, or we're avoiding him so much that the game becomes unnatural. But it's a great test for our young guards playing against somebody like him.
And we shared with you numbers yesterday that basically Keyonte didn't score on Amin Thompson the whole time. Thompson's just that great at what he does. I thought that balance right there of like, okay, we're not going to attack him, but we also don't want to be scared. We've got to have a game plan that gets us away from him, but at the same time, we can't just freeze the whole game plan. Was kind of a good testament to how difficult this all can be on any given night. All right, that is Locked On Jazz for today. We will be with you tomorrow we will. Yes, tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about the draft pick, the dreaded evil draft pick on tomorrow's show. We'll talk about that, plus all the another success that you may have forgotten about in this season. That's on tomorrow's show. Follow and subscribe to the show so you get every single episode at Locked On Jazz, whether it's on audio or on YouTube. Make sure you follow and subscribe to the program. You can follow me on social medias at DLock09. That's at Instagram, TikTok, as well as on X if you'd like to. We have exciting news coming up for all the everydayers. In the meantime, now we send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel on YouTube, Locked On NBA. If you're on audio, check out your second listen with Locked On NBA's Game Night, every game, every night.